the honors. Huge round of applause, please. Thank you so much, sir, for launching this significant initiative and for your continued encouragement of the scientific advancement in healthcare. With that, we move towards the highlight of the evening, the moment all of us have been waiting for. It is now my absolute privilege to invite the Honorable Vice President of India, Shri Jagdeep Dhankar ji, to address this distinguished gathering with the keynote address. Sir.
Good evening, all of you. Dr. R.P. Meena, President, Indian Association for Bronchology, Dr. Vivek Nangia, Vice President, Indian Association for Bronchology and Organizing Chairman, BronchoCon 2025. It's always a pleasure to receive another Vice President. Dr. Amita Nene, Secretary, Indian Association for Bronchology. I must make a minor correction. My wife is PhD in economics. She was introduced as being postgraduate. For medical reasons, peace at home is vital. Her DNA is reflective of enormous capacity to deal with a husband who can go the wrong way anytime. Distinguished audience, this conference, BronchoCon 2025, has come not a day too soon, because it addresses issues that are writing on the wall, issues of huge contemporaneous relevance. It gives me immense pleasure. I take it as absolute honor to inaugurate the 27th annual conference of the Indian Association for Bronchology. The Institute is known for its hallmark, excellence in respiratory medicine and innovation. I am sure the deliberations would be extremely fruitful. There will be ideation, exchange of ideas, and interaction amongst people who are dealing with this menace to humanity that is ballooning by the day. BronchoCon, according to me, is bound to be crucible of ideas, redefining the future of pulmonary care in India and beyond. And this is gaining urgency. This is gaining paramountcy. This is gaining absolute attention. With over hundreds of brilliant minds dedicated to respiratory care, I am reminded that each breath, that fundamental act of living that defines that we are living, is what your profession protects. You are protecting our lives. Your theme, very well thought out. Beyond the scope, evolving frontiers in pulmonary procedures. This demonstrates remarkable foresight because the issues are known to one and all. Everyone is concerned, and we live in a city where this dominates our mindset for months together. We know the evil consequences of this issue not being addressed. It is cancerous for society, much beyond COVID, if we analyze the loss for our children, for our elderly citizens, and for our youth, apart from those who are before me. The future of pulmonary care lies at the intersections of medicine, technology, environmental science, public policy, and community engagement. All are vital to address this problem. Gone are the days when either education or solutions could be by stand-alone institutions. There has to be concerted effort. There has to be convergence of all stakeholders. They have to be on the same page to find resolution of a problem which is diagnosed by everyone in a city like Delhi and beyond. Pulmonologists and bronchologists have been silent sentinels of public health, moving to frontline during, and who knows better than me, as Governor State of West Bengal, COVID-19, what a challenge it was. I salute your tireless efforts across clinics, ICUs, labs, classrooms, and policy-making arenas. When the challenge was so huge, the humanity, in a non-discriminatory fashion, came to face this menace, home to 1/6 of humanity, land of Atharved, showed the way. We could easily find light at end of a tunnel and also show light to about 100 other countries that are ever beholden to us. Indian pulmonology has transformed through growing clinical expertise, public awareness, and technological adoption. India, distinguished audience, is a land which is witnessing at the moment accessibility to technology, adaptability to technology, and technology delivering for the people at large. But in this field also, much has to be negotiated. As I just indicated a while ago, our ancient texts, particularly Atharved, envisions health as a perfect balance of body, mind, and spirit. It recognizes breath as pran. If it goes, pran doesn't exist in us. The vital life force connecting individual wellness with environmental harmony. The importance of health can be visualized. A talented person, a person with passion, mission, ability for execution, for public causes, can be severely handicapped on account of health not being in order. So such a well-meaning person whose commitment is not in doubt, passion is on the right path, mission is for people at large, execution ability is recognized, he himself becomes a person in need, and therefore health is all important. Our traditional wisdom teaches that respiratory health is inseparable from nature's equilibrium. Reckless exploitation of nature. We are its trustees, and we have become its owners. And we are exploiting not for optimal need, but for our greed. A time for all of us to think. Our fiscal prowess, our financial power cannot determine how we will use these resources, which are meant not only for individuals having means, but have to be utilized equitably for one and all. It is time for us to go back to our wisdom and knowledge. That is our treasure, recognized by the globe. We have to see indigenous practices of seasonal living. Our elderly people always said, use vegetables which are being grown around the same time. Use fruits which are there around the same time. Forest conservation and dietary wisdom align remarkably with modern preventive medicine. We therefore have to go back to our roots. No time is better than this, because might of Bharat is being realized, reckoned and recognized by the global powers, by the global fraternity. And it is in this context, I remind the distinguished audience, the time-tested science of yoga and pranayama. These offer profound solutions. But imagine, Indian Prime Minister takes this vision to the global community, makes an appeal to United Nations. In the shortest time, largest number of nations converge to support it. And we have now International Yoga Day. The population on the planet is uniformly benefiting thereby. Then we have techniques like Anulom Vilom, Bastrika, Kapalbhati. And when I see these being demonstrated on television, I find many people instantly want to take to these. But I will appeal particularly to our youth, impressionable minds, to learn it once for all. If you learn the technique once, your approach will be stable, sustained, not tentative. These afford not solutions, but are recipe for longevity. They enhance immunity. They generate us stress-free. Our vitality goes up. The quotient of happiness is enhanced. This will obviously lead to higher productivity. Modern research has validated that our ancient practices are scientific. Our ancient practices are extremely potent. They afford precautionary, preventive solutions. The integration of traditional wisdom into modern scientific research is need of the time, and I am sure those dealing with contemporary medicine research will address this issue. The surge in interventional pulmonology enables targeted life-enhancing interventions. Deploying these at district level healthcare centers could accelerate our national tuberculosis elimination program. If metros are fully equipped, that is not a solution. We have to reach out up to district level, both in terms of availability and affordability. While lung cancer remains a leading cause of cancer mortality, early detection technologies not only offer hope, but confidence that the problem can be addressed. We must expand from the practice of medicine to the reach of medicine, ensuring, as I said earlier, affordability and accessibility. Fortunately, the government, by affirmative policies, has done much in this direction. But it is the health and mindset of people of a nation that define the nation. And health defines the mindset. If we believe and want everyone to believe that our mindset must be nationalistic, We must always keep nation first. No interest whatsoever, personal, partisan, or fiscal, can have overriding impact over national interest. But then that requires the first aspect. Consider the lived realities. And now I seek your attention. Look at the plight of children who are close to industrial areas. Look at those tender souls. The elderly exposed to biomass smoke. The farmer faces prairie or crop burning issues. The factory worker inhaling chemicals, dust. Invisible citizens whose lives are shaped by the air we breathe. I still recall a person in another country handling health department says, a sick child is assurance to the doctors for their work and pharmaceutical companies for survival. We don't want that scenario. It will be too much for us to go for air purifiers. Selective solutions in democracy do not reflect well for democracy. Solutions have to be for one and all, because equality is the hallmark of democracy. And we have equality when inequitous situations are contained in a systemic manner. As indicated in one report, just a year ago, in February 2024, respiratory diseases continue India's largest disease category and accounting for 1/6 of our population. Just imagine what a staggering figure it is. Asthma rises among children. COPD robs adults of productivity. Tuberculosis persists. And tuberculosis is a situation that affects the entire family. Fortunately, now the treatment is there. There was a time when there was no treatment. So what is more fundamental is diagnosis. Early diagnosis, because treatments emanate easily. The psychological toll, just imagine someone suffering from TB, someone suffering from cancer. The psychological toll, not on the only patient, but on the family's use. Fortunately, now there is hand-holding for fiscal part of it. But then also, much needs to be done. Then there is stigmatization. Rather than hand-holding, we keep to distance ourselves out of ignorance. Environmental factors include, and who doesn't know it, air pollution. Just reflect today. Air pollution index in this city. You will be amazed. When you look at the desirable index, and we are getting away from it. But what is concerning is, we are not serious about it. Like climate change, existential challenge. We don't have another planet to live. But everyone thinks it is anybody else's job. The job is of one and all. We are cliffhanging. We need to be awake. Then, apart from air pollution, vehicular emissions. We don't pool our resources. We would like to show our wealth by having as many cars as we can have. We have to find a systemic solution. Thankfully, our public transport system is being strengthened. We are falling back on alternative automobile culture. But let's do it while there is time. Human behavior, what we use, our level of nutrition, and suddenly a new term has emerged in the last few decades: lifestyle diseases. That is something which is correctionable at the level of individual, at the level of the family, at the level of the society. The problems are compounded because they get in a stream, making life of individual difficult. But I am not in despair. I am full of hope, optimism, and confidence that when there is convergence of minds like yours, the minds that will ideate, the minds that will engage in research, and let me caution you, research has to be authentic. Research must be connected with ground result. Research is not meant for oneself or self. Research is not to be for the self. Research is not assimilation. Research has to be real research that not only the nation but countries beyond us can take benefit of it. And fortunately in our country there is a revolution of green energy. It is dotting our rural landscape massively. But we need to do more on this. We need accelerated phasing out of old vehicles. People have to understand that an old vehicle has to be discarded for reasons that concern our health. Merely because an old vehicle is functional on the road does not reflect on its roadworthiness. That has to be done. I said public transportation. We must take pride in using public transportation. Our ego should not come in between. In many countries this is done. And here also, the safest, fastest, surest way to reach an airport is through a metro. But that is something we need to make a habit. Look at our urban lands, water bodies, forests, and tree cover. In our Vedic culture, we revered them. We worship them. Now we are using it for our gain. We are destroying our respiratory system that nature has given to us. People go for indoor plants, air purifiers out of necessity, not recognizing that this is indicative of a deep malaise that is permeating in the society. Your minuscule solution is temporary for you. You have to find systemic solution. Systemic solution is one that improves the scenario for one and all. I deeply appreciate the medical community in our country. Your role transcends healing, encompassing innovation, advocacy, education, and inspiration. And when we faced pandemic, this was demonstrated. People came with their own ideas, their own kits, and they were saved from COVID. I therefore appeal to all of you that we must bridge medicine with data science, environmental studies, engineering, and artificial intelligence. Artificial intelligence, or let us put it in the broad term, disruptive technologies. These have entered our home, our way of life, our workplace, our research centers. Disruptive technologies are much beyond in impact of industrial revolutions. but the challenges have to be converted into opportunities. According to me, distinguished audience, it is a myth that this technology, when employed, will cut into human resource employability. No. We have to tame the technology. We have to use it for our advantage, and I'm sure you will work out for it. You are working for a robust environment for us all. Your deliberations are bound to be absolutely wholesome for all of us. Let us resolve on this day to build a future where every citizen breathes easily, breathes clean air, lives longer, and dreams bigger. Health is the first factor that deprives happiness. May your deliberations be fruitful and transformative. Sarve bhavantu sukhinah, sarve santu niramaya is something we have got from our scriptures to be practiced. I am grateful for the Vice President here, who is also Chairman of Brown Cocoon 2025, Dr. Vivek Nangia. Also, Dr. R.P. Meena, the President, and the Secretary, Dr. Amita Nene, for affording me this opportunity to interact with brilliant minds, minds that have passion without personal interest, a mission that is not selective, and execution that is uniform, that is helping one and all. Vasudeva Kutumbakam. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir, for your profound words and for inspiring all of us sitting here today. May I request...
इन्होंने हेल्थ इंश्योरेंस नहीं लिया और हॉस्पिटल्स के लाखों के बिल चुकाने में अपनी सारी सेविंग्स गवा दी। और इन्होंने पॉलिसी बाजार से हेल्थ इंश्योरेंस लिया, जेब से एक भी पैसा खर्च नहीं हुआ और पॉलिसी बाजार ने कैशलेस क्लेम दिलवाने में इनको पूरा सपोर्ट किया। तो रिस्क मत लो, पॉलिसी बाजार से 1 करोड़ का हेल्थ इंश्योरेंस सिर्फ 360 रुपए महीने से शुरू।
अगर आप बनना चाहते हैं एंकर या फिर आप में है जुनून एक तेज तर्रार न्यूज रिपोर्टर बनने का, तो आप ज्वाइन करें ITV और इंडिया न्यूज एक्स का मीडिया स्कूल। ITV नेक्स्ट मीडिया इंटरनेशनल स्कूल का कोर्स आपको मौका देता है देश के दिग्गज एंकर्स के साथ काम करने का। ITV नेक्स्ट मीडिया इंटरनेशनल स्कूल में आप बेहद नजदीकी से देख पाएंगे किस तरह से ITV नेटवर्क के दिग्गज पत्रकारों की टीम दिन रात खबरों पर काम करती है। इस कोर्स के दौरान आप सीखेंगे एंकरिंग की एक एक बारीकी उन एंकर्स के साथ जो देश को रखते हैं हर खबर से बाखबर। ITV नेक्स्ट मीडिया इंटरनेशनल स्कूल का ये कोर्स आपके एंकरिंग स्किल्स को करेगा इतना सशक्त, मजबूत, जिससे आप बनेंगे पत्रकारिता की दुनिया का वो चमकता चेहरा जो दुनिया देखेगी और पसंद करेगी।
चलो बेटे, टाइम हो गया।
मुझे मत ले जाओ,
चलना पड़ेगा।
मेरी फैमिली, बच्चों की पढ़ाई, घर का खर्चा, इन सब का क्या होगा?
फैमिली के लिए पहले टर्म लाइफ इंश्योरेंस लिया होता तो आज ऐसे रोना नहीं पड़ता।
सॉरी।
आखिरी वक्त पर मत पछताओ, आज ही पॉलिसी बाजार से टर्म लाइफ इंश्योरेंस करवाओ। 2 करोड़ का टर्म लाइफ इंश्योरेंस सिर्फ 700 रुपए महीने से शुरू। चलो भाई।
इंडिया न्यूज की टीम इस वक्त